What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse, and welcome to the Jess Takes a Village podcast, where we focus on regular people who have used their education, whether it be formal, vocational, or even life experiences, to propel their lives in a positive direction. So far, guys, I just want to say thank you, as this has been a very good first week for me on YouTube. I really enjoy the feedback, I enjoy the criticisms. I enjoy just overall the support that you guys have been giving me and pushing for this platform of just showing people in life that it's okay if you want to take the college route, the trade route, or even just use your regular day-to-day experience to propel your lives in a positive direction. Now, with that being said, I also feel that it's very important to speak on job shaming and why we should not job shame people. So if those of you who don't know what job shaming is basically looking at somebody completely different based on their occupation. So that's like me treating a janitor less than of a person because all he has to do is clean, as opposed to me who has a different career path. The only reason why I chose to bring that up today is I've been seeing lots and lots of comments and even like from some of your criticisms about prospective guests that I would like to have on the show. And I'm here to tell you, listen, honestly speaking, I'm not gonna curse, but I really don't care. It doesn't matter if the person next to me is a doctor. It doesn't matter if they're a guidance counselor. It doesn't matter if they work at Family Dollar. It doesn't matter if they do inventory. It doesn't matter if they clean cars for a living. Everybody's level of growth is different in life. No two people start at the same starting point in life. Do you know and I want to speak to you guys about luxuries. I was able to go to school. I was able to get an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's because of luxury, because I have two parents in the house, because I got that support. Other people don't have the same kinds of support systems. There are people who have no parents. There are people who come from traumatic homes. There are people who have sicknesses. There are people who every time they get out of bed, it's a fight. And just because they're not at where you want them to be or where you perceive that they should be, it doesn't mean that they're any less successful than you are as a person. You understand? There's a notion of remembering to be human and treating everyone the same, regardless of what. You know, the funniest thing about it is at any given point, you never know who you're going to bump into, and you never know how life is just going to kick you in your ass. It's the truth. A little compassion really, it goes a long way. You know, just because you have a bachelor's degree, it doesn't mean you're better than anyone. Just because you're making well over six figures, it doesn't mean you're better than anyone. Now, to the person who grew up rough and they had to push through, and it was a struggle for them because they got to take care of their mother, their sisters, their brothers, those who just held down a regular job, I clap for you. I support you. I'll pat you on the back because I know, me personally, I could not go through those hurdles. But there are people every day, you know, when they say you got it bad, there's someone else who has it way worse. And part of that is understanding that even the different members of your village, everyone has their own separate set of luxuries in life. I know the benefits of coming from a two-parent household because the saying is, well, mommy doesn't have on the 1st, daddy will have on the 15th. Right? I know the benefits of having mature parents. There are luxuries to having parents who actually ask you, how was your day today? I have friends and colleagues who they don't have the same relationship with their family members. They don't even have the same relationship with close friends, you know, because everybody's busy in their lives. I have that luxury. And part of me having that luxury is to share whatever information I get in life to others. Now listen, is everybody going to be as motivated and as dedicated as you are? The answer is no. However, in the same breath, you know, I couldn't jump over some of those hurdles. You know, there are people who really come from traumatic situations in life and they push through every day. Listen to me. If you tell yourself, hey, I want to be at this place in the next 5 years, it's all good and dandy until life happens, you know? And the thing that really, really, really upsets me is who's going to take the time to be compassionate to others? You know, in my profession, teaching, of course, I'll probably never make a crap ton of money. That's just the God's honest truth. But the luxury that I have is I actually love what I do. A lot of people, they go to work and they're miserable, but they still have to go to work. They can't afford to take a day off. They can't afford to say, you know what, I need a better job, because once they stop working, they got to look for a job. Then they got to wait another 2 weeks before they get a paycheck. Those are luxuries. There are luxuries to being in a good position in life. There are luxuries to being at a job that you love. There are luxuries to make decent money. But everybody isn't granted the opportunity in life. Now, I'm not saying, well, let's make excuses for everyone. But I mean, damn it, people, like, have a little compassion. There are people who were misguided as youth that eventually had to do things that maybe landed them in a little bit of trouble. Maybe they had to sit down for a little bit. And what I mean by sit down, I mean go to jail. Maybe they had to sit down and, regather their thoughts and then come back. But imagine them, there's some people in this world who don't even, from the time they're born, they don't have a fair chance at life. And society is just putting pressures on them, but nobody wants to hold their hand and teach them how. Because the minute a young man or a young woman is struggling, the first thing the world tells them is, well, you need to grow up. I'm not giving you a handout. But why wouldn't you help someone? How hard is it to help someone? The same way you get, you should give. And these are the things, it's disheartening where the world is going. I have friends who didn't go to college, and they're actually making more money and actually living a little better than I am. And I always tell them, how proud of them that I am. Because when you don't go to college, I would say there's more societal pressures on you as a person. It says, how are you going to survive without this piece of paper? And I mean, honestly, I've seen people beat that stigma 10 times over. It's not, and it always goes back to it. The degree is one thing, but your character, your attitude, how you treat people, it stands the test of time. At 1 minute, you could be sitting on your high horse, making your 6 figures, and then you get hurt. And then your job gives you a severance package. Severance is when, they pay you for the duration of the time that you would have been there, and, they sent you about your way. But they'll give you a severance package, right? And then if the unemployment rate is high, like what it is now, you can't find a job. What do you do then? You go from 6 figures to being at the top of the mountain to now you have to look for an entry-level position. And these are things that happen every day. Now somebody's going to say, well, if you save your money, and another luxury. It is a luxury to be able to save money. Everybody's home is different. What happens when the person who's making 6 figures has a sick mom, right? Let's say their medical bills can't be covered by their insurance, because you know how insurance in this country works, cough, cough. And now the child now has to assume the role of parent. And the cost of medical bills. Now, with that child paying those mother's medical bills just for this situation only, how do you expect that person to save money? A lot of people are under the notion, oh, that person makes 6 figures. You ain't taking home 6 figures. 33% of that is tax, so we're around 70 something. Then with these rent prices, if you look at $1,900, let's call it $2,000 a month. After 10 months, you're already at 20 bands. And then with the last 2, you had $22,000 from that 70. So the 70 is really 70, and it's crazy. I'm a teacher. So 70 minus 40, I'm wrong. 70 minus, this is bad. But you just left off with a little bit of $50,000. How are you supposed to survive? Did you forget you got to get groceries too? Did you forget? God forbid you want to buy yourself something nice. It's over for that paycheck. But these are the things that I'm talking about. It's certain luxuries granted to other people. Now, I'm not saying sit on your back and cry and complain about the world. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying have a little bit of compassion. Just a little bit of compassion. Understand, if you say, hey, I could probably make extra $20,000 a year by tweaking my resume, maybe adding some skills, don't just do it for yourself. Call up your friend and offer that help. Now, it's one thing if your friend goes, I'm good. So be it. But offer it. Remember to be a community. Now, without having to say it, as you know, especially in New York City, there are communities of people who look out for each other. They shop amongst themselves. They support each other. And it's to the point where the support is so strong they're living in a bubble. And I always ask myself, those people who are in these communities, without having to call a name, what are they doing that's so special that we as people can't do? You mean to tell me we can't do the same things? We can. We just got to put the ego down. You know, we cannot job shame. And that's like the whole centerpiece of this topic tonight. Like, why are we job shaming people? Now, granted, if you've been working the same job for 10 years and you're complaining about growth, that's your fault. Because you had ample time to make change. But if you're a young person and you're starting up, you should have an older person to help you. And if it's not at home, it got to be one of the older homies on the block. It has to be a coworker in the job place. It just has to be somebody who's willing to give you that piece of advice. And always remember, you can seek out advice from anyone. Anyone. Nobody's opposed to giving you advice. You should always take everything with a grain of salt. You understand what I'm saying? Just because that person looks away, it doesn't mean you can't learn anything from them. You know, when I was a kid, I mean, technically I'm still young, but when I was a kid, I used to see homeless people. And I used to go, Mom, why are they homeless? And my mother used to tell me all the time, she used to go, well, you know, some people make bad decisions in life, and some people, it kind of like gives me goosebumps. She goes, some people make bad decisions in life, and some people, from the time they're born, they're fighting for their lives. And it just wouldn't sink. You know, as I got older, you know, I fell victim to it too. I'll be open and honest with you. I'll be like, yo, listen, these homeless people, you know, they all taking drugs. And I was shaming them. And then as I got older, you know, and I matured, I understand that some of these homeless people were out fighting for our liberties, for us to be able to just walk freely in the world. And when they came back from the military services, the government didn't take care of them the way they should have. And because they couldn't find housing, they started begging on the street. You know, these were once, you know, functioning members of society, and now, you know, society looks down towards them. And it's kind of like, you know, the infamous pendulum swing, you know, the certain reoccurrences of life. Because it's like at one moment in life you could be here, and in a shift you could be here. Well, not here, but here. And once I learned that, it's a certain level of humility that came with how I approach people. You know, you approach everyone with kindness, you know. You shake hands with people. You look at them in the face. You tell them how much you appreciate them. You walk past people, you tell them good morning. You have to make people feel like people. And part of that is having a little bit of compassion. Just a little bit. Not a whole lot. I'm not saying let nobody take advantage of you, but a little bit of compassion. You see somebody struggling, help them. I'm not telling you to spoon feed them, but sometimes you got to be spoon fed information. Sometimes you need a mentor to guide you. Sometimes you need a friend to tell you things even when you yourself don't want to hear it. And sometimes when you see a friend with that job that's not paying them the most, you still congratulate them. You clap it up for them. You don't shun them. You don't job shame them. Any piece of advice you want to give them, tell it to them. Do not shame them. build them up. And always remember, in order for someone to grow, it just takes a village. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day / night / afternoon. And thank you for tuning in to the Just Takes a Village podcast.